welcome back to the 2006 season of the Monsters of Destruction. I'm Kevin Hynes. This week, round number 12 back in Rapid City, South Dakota, where Rick Swanson and Dan Patrick both exchanging blows for the #1 spot in the obstacle course and the straight line drags. Let's run down and take a look at our competitors for today's event.
Lewiston was a turning point for me. Now I just got to keep it going.
You know, my philosophy, it's all throttle or nothing, so do what we can.
Don't see anybody getting away with anything. It's going to be tight racing. The jumps are steep.
Yep, here to, win, have a good time. I think that's the main thing, is have a good time.
If the numbers are there and we run consistent, we should do well.
Running every weekend all summer, getting a lot of seat time. Stepping it up a little bit, breaking a lot more parts the harder I drive it.
Now it's time to get into MOD action. Wade, up to you.
Before we get started, let's check the straight line drag standings after 11 rounds. It's Dan Patrick on top, followed by Rick Swanson, Craig Christensen, Dan Runte, and Kelvin Raymer in fifth. Rounding out the top 10, it's Paul Jensen, Lindsey Wink, Jimmy Cretin, Dave Harkey, and Frank Scattini. Through 11 rounds, your obstacle course standings look like this. Rick Swanson on top, followed by Dan Patrick, Craig Christensen, Dan Runte, and Paul Jensen. In sixth, it's Kelvin Raymer in Natural High, followed by Jimmy Cretin, Rick Long, Lindsey Wink, and Dave Harkey. Good crowd on hand here in Rapid City, South Dakota. A lot of action coming at you tonight. The drivers are excited. Let's go down to the arena floor and get some words on tonight's action.
All right, Dan, we're back out here for round number 12 in Rapid City, South Dakota. It's pretty warm out here today. Do you think that's going to affect your air-cooled truck out here tonight at all?
Well, it'll run a little hotter. We'll probably step the field up a little bit to kind of richen it up to accommodate for that. But we'll see what it does in qualifying.
Fantastic. Now, as you know, if you've looked at some of the points since round number 11, you are on top of the straight line drags, of course, by 5 points, if my calculations are correct, but only behind by 1 point in the obstacle course. What do you intend to do about that tonight?
Well, we're just trying to be consistent, be there at the end,
You had some transmission troubles out here in round number 11. What was going on with that?
It was all brand new motor and a brand new trans and torque converter. Still don't know if we got it fixed. Here we are a week later, another race to go, and hope it works. I don't know if I've worked the bugs out. We hope we do. I was getting edged out, and I know my truck's a lot faster than that, and all I can do is go out there and try to do my best and put on a good show for the fans.
Now, Paul, we're back out here in Rapid City for round number 12. Now, round number 11, you weren't able to come out for freestyle. Craig was able to come out and drive your truck. What was going on?
During the first round of the straight line drags, I had a rock or a piece of glass or something come up off my tire and hit me in the eye. I wasn't seeing too well come freestyle time, so I went ahead and let him drive my truck. And I'm kind of glad he caught on fire when he did, because it looked like he was ready to tear it up.
That he was. So do you still have a truck left to drive out here for round 12?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have good crew guys with us this week. John Morris and Andre, my brother, they're doing a great job keeping everything tight and good to go.
Rick's been over there complaining that he's got a small motor this weekend and blah, 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 blah. I took a box of Kleenexes over to him and said, look, just wipe your eyes and let's go. This is only 461 cubes. These are both real little motors. So I told him, I said, you don't have to have a big motor, Rick. You just got to be able to drive.
Get things started with qualifying here in round 12. First on the track, Frank Scattini in Monster Jerky. To say he's been playing with fire would be an understatement. Did you catch the opening there? What was that, hairspray? I don't know what was going on. But Rick Swanson in the Obsession will make a pass as well. They go green. Looks like Scattini's got it going on here tonight. If he can hold on, he does post the faster time, 6:2:07. Let's go down and talk to Rick Swanson. There might be a problem with that truck.
I broke a blower belt in freestyle last night. Really shouldn't have been no big deal. I had a blower belt in my trailer. A blower belt isn't something you normally would break. The blower belt that broke last night was 3.5 years old. I had a spare in my trailer. I went to use it, and I lent it out a few years back to somebody to make it through a weekend. And when they were done with it after the end of the weekend, they gave it back to me. It was in my box, and I just put it in the trailer. I just pulled it out to put it in and shredded. So my game plan right now is to figure out exactly how I'm going to run tonight. Because the points are so close, I need to do the less amount of runs as possible, but need to make as maximum amount of points. So it's going to be interesting on what we decide to do and how we decide to run it to make it work.
So that sets up our next qualifying round. It will be Spider-Man Paul Jensen in the seat going up against Dad in Dragon Slayer. That's Craig Christensen. Both trucks experienced some mechanical problems in round 11. Paul Jensen struggling with an eye problem, caught a rock in the eye in round 11. Pretty quick off the line here. He looks like he's going to win, but wait, he is disqualified for red lighting. Spider-Man too quick off the green. The win goes to Dragon Slayer with a time of 6:07.3.
Right after first round of straight line racing, turned the corner, something flipped up, hit me in the eye. I don't know if it was a rock or a piece of glass or what, but it tore the outer layer of my eye. 4 millimeters wide and 5 millimeters tall, and it hurt pretty bad. So I didn't freestyle, moved the pedals so my dad could drive my truck, and went in this morning. Had the flap removed, and now I have a contact Band-Aid on my eye. Should be good in 4 days. Yeah, it hurt pretty bad. I instantly had double vision. My vision in my right eye was really blurred also. I didn't feel too good, had a hard time sleeping last night. Woke up this morning, my eye was kind of swelled up and glued shut, so that's why I went in and I took care of it. Got some safety glasses for tonight, so it won't happen again. A little blurry in the right eye, but other than that, we'll be good.
One more qualifying pass yet to go. On paper, Sampson would appear to be the favorite, but that's why they run him, Kevin. Marshall Law going to challenge Sampson, who won everything there was to win in round 11. You would think Sampson could take this one.
Well, you would sure think so. Definitely the crowd favorite out here in Rapid City, South Dakota. Sampson right off the line, and look at that, just pretty much handing him the loser card, saying, here you go, man. You know, Marshall Law, Paul Strong is having some mechanical difficulties with that truck. You got to hand it to him for sticking with it, trying to work through the difficulties that he's having out there. But, man, almost 1 second lost to Sampson.
8.147, not going to get it done for Strong and Marshall Law, but Sampson, 5.814. That's about the time he posted last week on Monsters of Destruction. It was enough to carry him through to win straight line drags. Now it's Obsession and Monster Jerky. Swanson off the line quicker in Obsession. He is winning this pass, going away. A much faster time for Obsession, 6.240. Monster Jerky slow at 7.414. No one close to Sampson's time of 5.814. He looks to be top qualifier again here tonight.
I guess we're calling this the return of Frank Scattini to the track. The Pro Comp Tire Monster truck has experienced some major downfalls with the motor blown in Roswell, and I just didn't have the money. I was so tapped out, and it was about 10 grand worth of parts after popping the motor. It was a bad one. So we're back with a new motor, new trans, a different trans builder, a different torque converter company. Trying a Continental torque converter. A lot of guys at other trucks have suggested it. Mike's Transmission built me a transmission. And I've got a new sponsor, 4 Wheel Parts. It's really going to help out, having a little more money getting around their thing. And they're definitely paying with money and parts, so it's really a help that I needed. And I'll be able to make some more races and maybe do better in the racing. Oh, man, a goal would be to just get out here, get some good TV coverage from my sponsors, and impress the fans and build for the future. I don't think there's any shot at the points lead. I think Rick Swanson's running away with it right now, and Craig Christensen's always up there at the top. Sampson running hard. There's no chance of me coming back. I don't think there's enough events. Even if I went out and won the rest of them, I'm not going to be even in the top, maybe the top 5. But I don't think the points are really important for me. This is my first year running with MOD, and the Outdoor Channel's made a great show, and I get to be on it. That's all I care about, and be part of the fun and some real racing, gain some experience, and maybe do better next year.
Here come the KCM teammates to the line for this qualifying pass. Paul Jensen and Spider-Man suffering from the eye injury, giving it his best shot here tonight, going up against the old man, Craig Christensen, in the Dragon Slayer. Jensen red-lighted in his first pass, still looking to post a time. He is at the bottom of the charts right now. Dragon Slayer fast off the line here. He has the advantage. This will be a fast time. Slap wheelie across the line. 5.707 is TQ for Craig Christensen in the Dragon Slayer.
I liked it because then he gets all worked up and antsy, and he has to red light trying to beat the old man. And as you see, he's still come up about that much too short. And he has no complaints now either because he's got the same motor. You know what his complaint is now? I have bigger headers. Well, there's some brand new headers at the shop. He can get off his lazy butt and come build his own header. And then he won't have anything to cry about.
His truck's 700 pounds lighter, and he has a brand new motor that's like mine.
Oh, yeah, he's only 3 weeks old. This is broke in.
Monsters of Destruction on the Outdoor Channel is brought to you by AmeriGas, America's propane company. Back with more after these words.
In 1970 and
Back to Monsters of Destruction on the Outdoor Channel. Wade Sherman and Kevin Hynes with you from Rapid City, South Dakota. One more qualifying pass to go here tonight. Dan Patrick and Sampson going up against Mr. Strong in martial law. There's Paul. He struggled in the first pass. Let's see how he does here. Looks like he's struggling again as Sampson is really strong, trying to take TQ back, but he's a bit short. His time, 5.736, leaving Craig Christensen and Dragon Slayer as top qualifier. Let's talk to Paul Strong about his run.
The motor's a little out of tune right now. We've been playing with timing, we're playing with fuel, we're playing with air, a little bit of everything, and we're just looking for the right mixture for out here right now.
So the qualifying results, Craig Christensen on top with a time of 5.707, followed by Dan Patrick, Paul Jensen, Frank Scattini, and Rick Swanson. Rounding out the field is Paul Strong in martial law with a time of 8.090. Let's move along to elimination competition here in straight line drags. Dan Patrick, awful strong in round 11. He swept both straight line and obstacle course, going up against Rick Swanson, the season leader in obstacle course, looking to knock Patrick off the top in straight line drag standings. This is a grudge match. Patrick has the advantage here. It's going to be close, but Patrick again eliminates Rick Swanson in Obsession. 0.3 of a second separating the trucks. 5.685, the fastest time of the night for Sampson. Obsession will have to hope to come back as fast loser.
You know, and this is what we saw the first time around in round number 11 as Patrick got it dialed in. He began the night with a 5.8 run time, came back out with a 5.6, and that is exactly what is repeating out here for round number 12. Goes away with a 5.685 time versus Obsession's 5.944. Look at the reaction time. Dan Patrick right off the light. There is no sleeping going on out here in Rapid City, South Dakota at the Black Hills Speedway.
Pretty close there at the finish, but a decisive victory there for Sampson, who will move on to the semifinals. Our next two trucks to take the line will be Paul Jensen and Spider-Man, suffering from that eye injury. He's given it his best shot here tonight, but he's got to be off his game. Seeing out of one eye is tough. Frank Scattini and Monster Jerky looking to advance here. He did make the finals in round 11, hoping to repeat here tonight. They go green, and off the line quick is Spider-Man. Beat him on the line. Scattini fell asleep there again. He's just not quite into the rhythm yet. 6.780 for Monster Jerky. Spider-Man almost a full second faster at 5.9, and this race was lost on the line.
You know, one eye or no one eye, if you got both eyes, Paul Jensen, it doesn't matter. He is out off the line very, very quick. As we take a look at the replay right here, he has already got the race dialed in as he crosses the cars against Scattini and Monster Jerky. 0.3 of a second there off of the light right away. So Monster Jerky with a 4.36 reaction time. Paul Jensen and Spider-Man 0.151. You know, Wade, I don't know that Band-Aid over his eye is actually affecting him that much out there tonight.
Yeah, he might wear it from now on if he keeps running like that. He's had a good run. Let's send it down to Frank Scattini to find out about Monster Jerky.
My truck is so beat up. No first gear. Did a second gear start. Thing went straight up. Bounce City because it went so high. I had no chance on that one. Hey, but turns out that problem earlier was the torque converter after all, but then this is my backup tranny. It didn't like that start, so it's got no first. Hopefully I can make it around obstacle course at least once.
I think it's lost a rod bearing. Started back up and it's knocking like crazy. They're yanking the pan off right now to see what's wrong. See if something's loose. It's spun a bearing, just what? Get the pan off of it, see if we can't get back out for turning course. They're fired it back up and only had about 30 pounds of oil pressure and it's just pounding like crazy.
Well, in case you were wondering, Scattini, when he's in the booth with us, he dresses like that, and that's why I'm happy he's down there and not up here, Kevin.
That's right, back out to racing action. Paul Strong in martial law is going to run by himself, giving him a bye into the semifinals. Craig Christensen, like we were just talking about there in that bike, having some difficulties mechanically. It looks like he has got a valve problem as well as a low-end problem in the motor, so that is going to make it very tough. Marshall Law going to advance to semifinal action. Obsession back as a fast loser. We'll be right back after these words.
Tonight's Monsters of Destruction broadcast is brought to you by Monster Jerky and by Monstrous Displays. Semi-final action now in straight line drags. Dan Patrick and Sampson looking to repeat as champion here in South Dakota. He won round 11. He's going to have to get by Paul Jensen and Spider-Man if he wants to repeat here tonight. Jensen looking strong. One eye, not a problem for him. The surgery really got to him, but he's given it all he's got. This is a close heat. Anybody's race. It looks like Dan Patrick pulled away at the finish. 5:5:07, the fastest time we've seen all weekend here in South Dakota. Spider-Man, very respectable, 5:7:19, but he's eliminated.
Now let's take a look one more time. Dan Patrick, one of the toughest competitors out here, especially here in Rapid City, South Dakota, swept all around 11, again putting Jensen out of the running right here as we take a look at the instant replay. Look at his truck. Patrick is all over the place, man. It's just bouncing that camera all over. A very quick run, 0.085 for Jensen, and Spider-Man actually a quicker reaction time than Sampson.
Patrick just keeps getting better every time he runs this course. He shaves a 10th here, a 10th there. 5:5:07. Will he have even more for the finals? Only time will tell. A close finish there, but Dan Patrick advances. He has been awfully strong here in South Dakota. That sets up our final race in semifinal action. Paul Strong and Marshall Law coming back to do battle against Rick Swanson in the Obsession. Swanson has been around the finals all season long, rarely won one. Let's see if tonight is his night.
You know, consistency for that guy has paid off so far in the season. You know, second place in points in the obstacle course, and he's got some work to do here, but he's coming up in the running. Look at this, Marshall Law just sitting on the line.
Yeah, he ran out of gas, Kevin. Too much course for him. He didn't have gas to make the finish is what we're hearing. And Obsession advances to victory, and I'm sure you don't want to win that way, but at the same time, you just want to win.
You know, that has got to be awful tough for Paul Strong. So that sets up our final. Sampson and Obsession going to the big show. Let's run down and talk to Rick Swanson.
I think it was kind of a luck of a draw. We're here to do what we can, you know. We're going to put the Fat Tech Obsession down every round we can. You know, our sponsors are here backing us. They want us to stay number one. We're going to do our best to be number one. We've got Dan Patrick and Sampson again in the finals. So it was a close race when I raced him first round. I came back as a fast loser and progressed from there. So all I got to do is keep it up. It was close enough. I think I might be able to get him. I'm going to do my best.
So it's time for the finals of straight line drag action here from South Dakota, round 12. A rematch of round 11, Dan Patrick in Sampson going up against Rick Swanson in Obsession. And this is also 1 and 2 in the season standings, Kevin.
That's right. Rick Swanson in Obsession has got a lot to prove out here. Looking to knock Sampson off. They come off the line. They're side by side. Sampson pulling away right there. A huge victory for Dan Patrick. Look at that, 65 hundredths of a second separating first and second. So once again here in round 12, Patrick is going to the podium.
Yeah, it really wasn't even close. Sampson just so strong here in Rapid City, South Dakota. No doubt about this one. He puts the exclamation point on a great weekend of straight line drag racing. 5-7, eliminates Swanson yet again and maintains his lead in the season standings. You've just got to hand it to Dan Patrick. He has been the truck to beat here in Rapid City, South Dakota.
You know, and Rick, a great effort, you know, a respectable time as he comes across the line with a 6.354. So, you know, it definitely wasn't slow out there, but let's take a look at our straight line drag standings. Sampson out in front, followed by Rick Swanson in Obsession, Paul Jensen and Spider-Man in third, Paul Strong and Frank Scatini rounding out the top 5.
In straight line drag standings after 12 rounds, Dan Patrick holds the season lead, 8 points over Rick Swanson in Obsession, followed by Craig Christensen, Dan Runge, and Paul Jensen. Rounding out the top 10, it's Kelvin Raymer in Natural High, Lindsey Wink. Frank Scatini moves into 8th, followed by Jimmy Creedon and Dave Harkey. This Kevin Hynes is trackside with our finalists from straight line drag competition.
All right, so Rick, we're back down here again. You're back in the winner's circle in the top two, and you're working your way up through the points. It's got to make you feel good. You ran a good, solid race out here tonight.
Well, you know, it feels like deja vu, but unfortunately, I was still at the losing end, so it may have been the finals, but it was still second place.
Well, the Obsession truck has run strong all season long. You came out here, you did a great job, and Dan Patrick has just got this track dialed in, it seems like, after being out here for round 11, and round 12, he's just a tough guy to beat.
Dan's always a tough competitor. You know, every time you go up against him, any truck out here, you got to be at your best. Everything has to be going your way. Tonight it wasn't going my way. I got a couple lucky breaks. I came back as a fast loser. My job is to put this FabTech Obsession as far down the line as I can to get FabTech, Marigas, Superjet, James Duff, everybody, all my sponsors, as much as exposure as I can. I'm trying to do my best. I got to thank my wife for being out here with me. She's been out here this weekend, made the drive with me. My 10-year-old couldn't make it. He's my crew chief. Things would be different if he was here because he'd be working on the truck.
All right, well, working on the truck or not, you came out here, you put on a great show for these fans out here in Rapid City, and congratulations.
We'll definitely take second place. We're only dealing with a 468, so we're dealing with a little motor, and we're running it hard.
All right, Dan, we're back out here for round 12 in Rapid City. You swept all around 11. You're back, third win in a row now coming out for Straight Line Drags. It's got to make you feel pretty good.
You want to jinx me, don't you? Yeah, it feels really good. You know, it is a good course. I thought we were in trouble when they watered the track down in between the rounds. Rick had a dry starting line because the other truck was parked there and they didn't water it down. So it was a little crazy, but we pulled some tricks out of the old pulling days and stuff and got it down the track. So we did real well. We had a good time, and we didn't look too stupid this weekend.
Well, you always do a good job. You know, we talk all the time about how the truck is a very old design. The suspension is very old, but you always come out and you put her down the line and do a great job with her, and I'm sure that these Rapid City fans appreciate that.
Well, you know, everybody's treated us great since we've been here, and we had a good time visiting the sites while we're here and meeting friends, and hope to come back next year.
The obstacle course, I think the toughest thing is figuring out when you have to get off the throttle for each obstacle, because there's quite a few obstacles out there that if you hit them wide open, you're going to air it out so far. You're either going to break something when you land, or you're going to be in the air for so long the other guy's going to make up ground on you. So I think that's the biggest problem with the obstacle course for me.
And I'm going to motor all the way through the corner and over the van side, but that roller hill is so abrupt that it just throws the truck. And last pass I made, I hit it and then nosed into the car stack, and then things went crazy in a hurry. But I thought for sure I was going to go over, but it got lucky, and I think just from the suction of the seat, my butt sucking the seat up sucked her back over, but it was like, ah! But like I say, I'm going to try and do the same thing, try to be fast in the corners, get up over the roller. I'll probably slow down for the roller and then up and over it. You know, slow down, that means I'll put my foot on the brake. I might even not touch it, but I'll put my foot over there. So.
Time to go obstacle course racing here in Rapid City, South Dakota from the Black Hills Speedway, round 12 of MOD action. Wade Sherman and Kevin Hynes with you. There's Dan Patrick. He won round 11. Going up against Rick Swanson. He finished second in round 11. Could be anybody's race, but one thing's for sure, this is one long obstacle course, Kevin.
Very, very difficult. You know, we watched him round number 11, 30-plus seconds for even the fastest guys out there, running 32, 33, 34 seconds around this course. And as they come around, you can see Dan Patrick and Sampson already out into a commanding lead. There he goes, crossing the line on the backside of the course. They've got a half a lap left, and Sampson has already got this one right there. Don't know if he's going to incur a penalty for that. I don't know if all four tires actually hit the cars. But as they come across the line, Sampson, hands down, is going to take this one home.
Yeah, no penalty for Sampson. He takes the heat with a time of 32.544. Obsession very strong at 34.17. 34.718, I should say. Much faster than his round 11 time, but Sampson also improved and won this one going away. Look at the distance over the car stack right there. And just, you can tell on the straightaways, Sampson has more engine to work with here tonight.
That he does. That Hemi that he runs in there, very, very strong, capable of upwards of 1,600 horsepower at any time when he wants to tune it that way. So out here in Rapid City, South Dakota, that is where the difference is made. Right there, you know, the interesting thing about Dan Patrick's run is that even if he had incurred a 2-second penalty, 0.2 of a second, he was still going to be faster than Rick Swanson out there, even with that penalty.
And I was left with the impression that he's got a little more if he wants it. That was I don't think we've seen the best of Sampson yet here tonight. He's shown a pattern over round 11 and 12 of getting better every time he takes the track, and I bet that's going to hold up here tonight. Good reaction time for Sampson, .247. Swanson a little slow off the line, more than a half a second between the green and the first off the line for Swanson. Not the difference in the race, really, as Sampson beat him by about 2 seconds.
And I think the loss was right here as Swanson comes over the roller a little bit slower as he comes around the backside of the track. Sampson is getting very good at setting up those jumps. Swanson right there sliding sideways over top of that obstacle. And, you lose a 1/10 of a second here, a 1/10 of a second there. By the time you lose, 20 of those, you're 2 seconds behind by the time you come around the course, and that's the make it or break it.
Look at the pounding these guys take in the cab of these trucks. They're going to need a jacuzzi or something after this is over. They're getting beat up tonight. More MOD action coming at you after these words. Spider-Man and Monster Jerky after this.
He's got to get the truck rolling and maintain his momentum, especially if he wants to beat Paul Jensen out here in Spider-Man.
Yeah, this is anybody's race. Too close to call at this point. About a half a lap to go. Nice turn for Schettini there. Bouncing the front is Paul Jensen in Spider-Man. He's suffering from that eye injury. So far, so good. A lot of flames coming out as they come to the line. Big wheelie there to the finish. Paul Jensen takes it by about 0.3 of a second. 34.652. Frank Schettini just $1 short at 34.969, but that was a very close race.
That was an awful tough race. I have a funny feeling that if Schettini has had his transmission problems resolved, if he had a good tranny in the truck with him, he very well may have taken this race. But, he had an extra transmission in the truck. Unfortunately, that transmission did not come out of the box working properly. So unfortunately for Schettini's luck, he's going to be eliminated first round this time around as Jensen takes a commanding lead.
Yeah, and the news gets worse. He has no shot at fast loser as Obsession, even though he lost in the first heat, was 34.718. And Schettini checks in at 34.969. He is definitely going home at this point.
Well, we'll find out if he's got any freestyle left for us here a little bit later in the program. Right now, we're watching Paul Jensen and Spider-Man rounding the last half lap of the course. Here's Schettini off the line. You can see he almost doesn't even have enough power to get a wheelie off of that roller. He's just now starting to get that power to the ground. A 3.81 reaction time for Schettini and Monster Jerky. Paul Jensen and Spider-Man, a .265, actually slower than some of the reaction times we've seen from him out here tonight. But Jensen, nonetheless, all the way around the course, was able to dial in 0.3 of a second quicker than Schettini was in the Monster Jerky truck. And that's going to put him into semifinal action.
And what's really noticeable here with Monster Jerky is every time he gets on the brakes, the front end really sits down. And I think that's throwing off his momentum and his approach to some of these jumps. Maybe too much braking in his truck.
Very well may be. So Sampson and Spider-Man going to go head-to-head into semifinal action. Up next, Martial Law and Dragon Slayer going to come out for heat number 3 here in elimination action. Paul Strong and Martial Law, who has posted some difficult and slow times out here so far tonight.
Dragon Slayer noticeably absent. That truck not in shape to run. This will be a walkthrough for for Martial Law. Strong inherits another break. That's twice he's made it through the semis on a mechanical from his competitor. All he's got to do is finish, and maybe it's not as easy as I thought. He's having some trouble here.
Maybe not over that set of cars. Did not get all 4 wheels, especially noticeably here from the announcer's tower. So that's going to be a 2-second penalty incurred right off of the bat. He's got to keep it clean out here. Of course, running a little slower. There's another 2 wheels off. Wait, that's a total of 4 seconds so far.
Yeah, we're hearing on the radio that he's got some front-end problems. If I was driving like that, I'd be screaming problems too. I'm not sure if it's real or manufactured, but they're claiming mechanical with that car. 4 seconds of penalties takes the time to 49.847, and he advances as Dragon Slayer unable to answer the bell here in the semifinals. A nice break for Martial Law. Swanson comes back as fast loser, so our finals our semifinal, I should say, will be Dan Patrick in Sampson, looking to improve on his already impressive performance here in Rapid City, South Dakota. He'll have to get through Paul Jensen if he wants to win here in round 12 obstacle course action.
He ran a 32.544 early on in the night, the fastest time thus far, and here we go right off the bat. It looks like he's off to a great start, ripping it up, coming into the first corner. He's already over the corner as Spider-Man trying to keep up Dan Patrick and Sampson. That super strong Hemi that he's got in there has proven very, very good and at home here at this Rapid City, South Dakota track. Let's find out as they move their way around the last half of the lap. Look at Patrick go. He's over the roller. Jensen not even touched onto the final straight. And look at Patrick across the line, a 31.345 in the semifinals. That's going to give him the fastest time of the night, Wade.
He just keeps on getting better. We mentioned it earlier. Every time he's touched the track, he's improved. Beat his first round time by over a second. And he won this one going away. Just very, very smooth. A lot of power under that hood. And very smooth driving. No bobbles. Lined everything up well. Taking his time. Sometimes you got to slow down to move faster.
Sometimes that's the way it goes. A lot of times, you talk to guys that race go-karts and road race cars. If the tires aren't squeaking, you're going the fastest that you can go. And sometimes the analogy applies here as well. If you're not sliding out, you're lined up for the obstacles, and you got the hammer down in the straights. That's where the victory can be taken. And Dan Patrick has proven that time and again in round 11 and again here in round 12 so far. He's going to the big show with a very well-earned spot.
He's been awful strong here in Rapid City, South Dakota. We've got one more semifinal obstacle course race to go. It'll be Martial Law against Obsession after this.
Hey, we're having a good weekend. Maybe we'll pull off a foursome this weekend, but we'll just see. Out there running now, so we'll either have Rick or we're looking for a good show.
One semifinal race remaining here in round 12 from Rapid City, South Dakota. Rick Swanson in the Obsession, and those front end problems for Martial Law and Paul Strong were real. He's unable to make the show here in the semifinals. A tough break for that team. Swanson doesn't seem to have much to race for, but Kevin, the important thing here, if he can beat Sampson's 31.345, he will have lane choice in the final, and that could be a big deal.
That very well could be. Drivers over the course of the evening get dialed in one lane better than the other. It's always the way it is. They're never equal in each lane. And so Swanson right now is running very hard out there in hopes of beating that 31.345 of Dan Patrick and Sampson. If he can capitalize on that time and get quicker, and right there, Wade, it's not going to happen. Obsession with a 33.845.
I think he did give it all he had right there, but he does walk through to the finals, trying to knock Dan Patrick and Sampson off the top of the mountain here in Rapid City, South Dakota. It could be a complete clean sweep for Dan Patrick and Sampson. He's won straight line both rounds. He's won obstacle course in round 11, in the finals here in round 12. The only thing standing in his way is that truck. Rick Swanson's Obsession going up against Patrick. Could be anybody's race. They've both been strong, but Sampson has shown a pattern of improving. He flies over the first car stack, makes the turn first. Sampson in the lead here in the early going.
And man, oh man, Obsession falling a little bit behind there. And like you had mentioned, Sampson has gotten faster over the course of the evening. If that stands to reason, he might even post a faster time this time around. But the big point of the track right now is he is over top of Obsession, not by a lot, but by a little, as they work their way around the final half of the track. Here they come across the line. Sampson way out in front, and that's going to do it. A 37.95. Obsession with a great time as well, a 31.508, Wade.
Dan Patrick posts his fastest time of the week and in winning time. With everything on the line, he puts his best run out there, 37.95. A true champion here in Monsters of Destruction competition. He got out the broom and just swept Rapid City, South Dakota, won everything there was to win, and you can't say much more about it than that.
No, you can't give him any more credit than that. After 4 victories, 2 in straight line drags, 2 in obstacle course racing, this one the final one right here. It's got to make for a great weekend. Dan Patrick has got to be happy, especially coming all the way out of Circleville, Ohio, way out to Rapid City, South Dakota. A little bit closer than some of these other drivers out here, but he comes out here, sweeps Rick Swanson again for 2 rounds in a row. That's got to bust Rick's bubble a little bit.
If I was him, I'd be thinking about asking him to impound that motor, make sure everything was clean there. I mean, he was just so dominant that I'd be shaking my head going, he must be doing something he shouldn't be doing.
And there we see the reaction times. Obsession with a .109 was actually faster off of the light. And with a total time of 31.508, that was the second fastest time to Patrick's 31.345 that we saw in the semifinals. So this potentially could have been a very, very good race for Swanson and Patrick if Patrick had not gotten faster.
He was just so strong, and obviously he did pass tech. Everything was legit. But, I don't mean to imply that he would ever cheat. He's of the highest character. But if I was Swanson, I just bow because I know that I've been beat.
And who else than Sampson to do it? Dan Patrick and Sampson has got the truck dialed in. The thing runs 99.9% of the time. It runs strong when it runs. And when Dan is dialed in on a track, there is hardly anybody out there that can beat him.
So here are your standings. Dan Patrick takes 25 points here from round 12. Rick Swanson 22, Paul Jensen 20, Paul Strong 18, and Frank Scattini 15. The season standings after round 12. Dan Patrick takes over the lead by 2 points over Obsession. Tough break there. Craig Christensen 3rd, Paul Jensen 4th, Dan Runte and Bigfoot 5th. Kelvin Raymer is 6th. Frank Scattini moves into 7th. His path to the championship just straight up, followed by Jimmy Cretin, Rick Long, and Lindsey Wink.
Monsters of Destruction on the Outdoor Channel is brought to you by AmeriGas, America's propane company. Back with
195.
As we prepare for freestyle here in round 12, let's go talk to our finalists in obstacle course racing.
All right, back down here with Rick Swanson again. Now, Rick, it seems like Dan is just awful tough to take out there tonight.
Well, you know, he's a hell of a competitor. He's on his roll tonight, or this whole weekend. You know, he's been unstoppable. My hat's off to him. You know, earlier today, about 4 o'clock today, we actually had the top end of this motor apart, and I was almost ready to pack up and go home because we had a blower lock up on us last night. We thought it was just a belt. We searched around town, got a old crummy belt that honestly I don't know how it's still on there. But you know, that little motor, it's a little 468 like I said before, and it's just running and running. So as long as she keeps running, we'll keep being inside in the throttle.
Well, luck have it as it may that you ended up in the final round out here tonight. There was some mishaps with some of the other trucks. You got put up against Dan first round out here in the obstacle course. And so you ended up out here with a second-place finish again. That's got to make you feel pretty proud.
AmeriGas, St. James Duff, Super Chips, they're all great. You know, they're standing behind me. My wife up in the stands. She's been jumping up on the truck. It's been so dusty tonight. She's been dusting off the window every pass. And I got to thank all you guys for coming out, being here. My hat's off to Dan.
All right, Dan, we're back in the winner's circle again. It looks like now with round 11 and 12, you've got a four-peat victory now with 4 events in a row. I mean, what else can you say?
Well, you know, we've had a great weekend. We got a little freestyle yet to do, but other than that, we've had a great weekend, and hope the fans enjoyed some good racing because there was definitely good racing here.
Well, you know, it came down to that very last jump here in obstacle course, like I had mentioned with Rick here just a moment ago. You know, some mishaps with the other trucks put him again in the final with you this time around. And, you know, all the way up to the very last jump, you guys were side by side, and then about 0.4 of a second separated you there at the very end, I believe, if my calculations are correct. And so, you know, once again, big margin, small margin, you're in the winner's circle.
Well, I tried to help him out as much as I could because I screwed up about 4 times out there. I got sideways on the end cars, and I thought I was going to get DQ'd because we get 2 seconds off if you miss. So, I mean, not just getting over him, you got to get over him right. So I figured I better crank the old Hemi up there on the last set of cars and get after it.
Well, Dan, it's great to have you out here in the winner's circle. You know, for the first time this year, we've seen you 2 rounds in a row out here on top of the heap. And so congratulations tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Tonight's Monsters of Destruction broadcast is brought to you by Monster Jerky and by Monstrous Displays.
Welcome back to the Black Hills Speedway in Rapid City, South Dakota. This is round 12. Freestyle coming at you. Wade Sherman and Kevin Hynes. First truck on the track. Rick Swanson in Obsession. And he's got to be a little disappointed, Kevin. He lost the lead in obstacle course racing here this weekend.
You know, it's tough. Him and Patrick have been battling back and forth. You know, very, very few points. It's just about anybody's game right now. You know, Rick Swanson back in second. But you know, as we saw that Craig Christensen didn't run some of the latter half of tonight, that's going to hurt him in the points as well. So Swanson and Patrick absorbing that first and second lead, and they're split from the pack by quite a ways.
Whoa, we hit some tires here. Swanson all over the place. Took out a tire stack right there.
That's got to be a little jolting inside that truck. It's a huge stack of tires to be knocking over. Swanson out here much better than we saw in round number 11. He's coming out here as looks like so far the crowd favorite out here tonight. As he comes backwards over the cars, let's see what he's got. A nice long jump by Swanson. And again, we have not seen the steam spewing from this Obsession truck. It seems like he's getting it dialed in each and every round.
Remember, he's on that weak belt. The donut may be a problem, caused him to cut it short in round 11. He's going to go for it right here. He's got it hooked up. He's into the donut, a nice left-hander, not a lot of speed, but he got it around. This track very, very dry. Traction not really there, but the best move of the night so far, best move of the weekend so far in freestyle, a nice donut right there for Swanson. That's what he's famous.
And there he goes, running over some more of the tires, and the crowd just going wild when he knocks over those tires and runs over top of them, something they don't get to see every day, especially with, some of the sprint cars that runs out here at the local track. They don't get to do stuff like that. They don't see monsters of destruction out here every single day. So Rick Swanson putting on a great show for the crowd, coming across the cars backwards. They're launching the truck sky high, and this FabTech Obsession truck doing pretty well out here tonight.
He's got to be getting hot nearing the end of the run. He's got about 90 seconds plus on the clock. He needs to be careful of going too far with this engine and cooking it. Maybe he's going to try another donut here. Definitely kicks that rear end around, trying to set up his next move here. On the gas, way up high right there. Bounces the landing. Swanson looking pretty good here in freestyle.
And that jars him pretty good. A lot of people at home don't realize what kind of a beating they take inside those trucks. You can see the camera every time they land. It's brutal. And Swanson back into the donut here on this dry track out here in Rapid City, South Dakota. A huge donut. As you can see, the front tires just basically staying put as he carries the donut on the outer slick track. And there's that steam we were talking about. You're right, Wade. He is getting warm out there now.
A nice run as he crabs it down the front stretch here, steps out of that vehicle, waves to the crowd. They like that freestyle run, so did I. A couple of nice donuts in between some big air here for Swanson.
A great finish by Rick Swanson. Let's take a look at this replay of some of the better shots here as he launches over the cars there in that FabTech Obsession machine. One more time as he comes back out on the front straight, knocking over those tractor tires. Those things are as big as their own tires.
I'm not sure he ever saw them because they were below his field of vision there. I'm not sure he knew what he had done there, but he found out pretty quick he stopped short.
That's right, a little bit of a jar there for him. Here's a great donut and replay action here for Rick Swanson. A great finish. The steam coming out the motor, definitely he chose the right time to shut that run down, and that's going to do it for Rick Swanson.
This is our final truck. Here comes Paul Jensen flying into the arena floor. Just 2 freestyle runs here tonight. A lot of attrition. Fire belching from the underside of that Spider-Man machine as he launches himself up and over. Nice double there. This truck is going to wind up upside down or on fire or something. He's out of control already, you can tell.
Man, it seems to be running awful hot out there. Normally you see a little bit of fuel out the tailpipe, but normally you don't see huge belches of fuel as we're seeing right there. There it is again, Wade, as he tries to get a wheelie going, launching over the cars. This truck has got some problems going on, but yet Paul continues to run it in the driver's seat. You cannot see when the fire comes out of those pipes because they are behind his field of vision.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he knows the depth to which he's got some problems here, but he's going to tear it up. He's going to go out on a hook if he has to. Look at the air right there. Tailgate stand on the back of the car. It's into a slap wheelie. He's got it. What a move from Paul Jensen. He is lighting it up here in Rapid City, South Dakota. Going to try a donut now as we've got a fire.
Oh, my goodness.
Look out. He spins it around, and we are cooking that machine. Spider-Man knows he's done, but what a way to finish, Kevin Hynes.
No pun intended, lighting it up out here in Rapid City, South Dakota. As you mentioned, the truck on fire. Jensen climbing out now. Let's say it looks like it's settling down, but Paul Jensen, a great finish in that Spider-Man truck. Craig came out in round 11 and beat it up for him. Now it was his turn to come back out. Let's take one more look at this huge launch into the arena. We were talking about the belching fuel out of the pipe. Look at that slow-mo shot. That thing could light up an entire neighborhood.
Yeah, this was fun to watch. Jensen really got it going. A lot of air right there. A little bit of a wheelie, sets up the double, launches himself right there. But the tailgate stand coming off the jump here,
right
the move
here.
of the night.
Look at that huge launch off of the vans, a tailgate stand. Wade, and what a great finish in Rapid City, South Dakota.
It was awesome. We're going to do it again next week right here on the Outdoor Channel. Tune in next time to Monsters of Destruction on the Outdoor Channel.